I did my take-home assessment around a loyalty program. My tips that are specific to interviewing with Uber APM, so much fun. Hey friends, what is up and welcome back to another video. Today I am doing another PM type video where I talk about my experience, and today's experience that I want to cover and share with you guys is the Uber APM experience. So my experience interviewing for Uber's Associate Product Manager program. So it's been a year now. I remember when I was initially applying and interviewing, things like that, I was scouring the internet trying to figure out what the experience would look like, what I should expect and things like that. So I think I'm a bit late to this year, but I figured why not sit down. I have my iPad here with my full experience detailed out, and let's talk about my experience. A little disclaimer, this is just my experience. This in no way reflects the experience of other applicants or what your experience will be like, but this is my experience and I had a great time with it and I'd love to share it with you guys. I am gonna go ahead and just like my Facebook RPM experience video, which if you haven't checked it out already, go check it out. I'm gonna break down my experience into 3 parts. First being timeline, second being the interview topics, and third being tips that I have specifically about the Uber APM process. That's what I myself was looking for really when I was going through the interview cycle. If there's other questions you have as well, feel free to leave them down in the comments below, and let's go ahead and dive into this. So let's start with timeline. I'm actually not sure what specific date I applied for the Uber program. I couldn't find it, but I have here that they reached out on September 12th to talk to me about doing the take-home exercise. So I'm guessing I probably applied a week or 2 before then. I do believe they have a Uber APM specific website. I'll go ahead and link that down below as well. So make sure you just keep track of that to see when the application goes live. So I submitted that take-home exercise within the week, and about a week later, I still hadn't heard back yet. So I actually reached out to the recruiter to kind of figure out, hey, how are things moving along? I've got other things moving in my recruiting world as well. So just want to keep track and stay on top of it and make sure there's enough time to do interviews and things like that if given the opportunity. And they very quickly got back to me and let me know that I had made it past the take-home exercise round and they wanted to schedule their first phone interview. So take-home exercise, got that on the 12th. A week later, emailed to follow up, and on October 3rd, had my first phone interview. And then from there on out, honestly, it was really quick. I actually found out the next day, so the 4th, that I had made it past the first phone interview. On October 8th, I had my second phone interview scheduled, and both of these were an hour each. And on the 10th, found out that I had made it to the on-sites, and they actually were having an Uber APM applicant dinner as well in San Francisco, which was so much fun. Oh my gosh, I loved meeting all the other applicants who I had actually met a lot of in previous internships or gone to school with and things like that. So that was so much fun. The actual on-site itself was on the 11th. So it really sped up from phone interview number 1 on, because from phone interview 1 to the on-site, it was 8 days, 8 days apart, which is crazy quick. The 11th is when I had the on-site. It was 3 interviews. We were there from morning until early afternoon, and I met with 1 engineer and 2 product people, and then had lunch. So I think that each of the interviews were probably an hour each as well. I honestly don't remember exactly. They gave us like papers with our schedules once we got there. So that is timeline. Oh, actually, when did I find out? Don't remember when I found out my results. I want to say probably a week or 2 after the interviews. So end to end, it was about 5 weeks from applying / submitting my take-home exercise to finding out my results / on-site. Next topic, let's talk about the interviews. The take-home assessment. I don't know if it changes year after year. I actually haven't looked at what the assessment was this year, but I remember last year's assessment was something along the lines of what opportunity Uber should go after next. It was super open-ended, just kind of like what area of opportunity should Uber go after. Honestly, it was really fun to make. I did my take-home assessment around a loyalty program for Uber Eats. So some sort of rewards program for it to get people to come back and check it out more. Because at that time, I don't think Uber Eats was too crazy big, so I felt like it needed a differentiator from all the other food delivery services. And I don't know, in my mind, loyalty program, rewards program seemed like a great idea. If it helps some of you guys figure out some ideas of what you might want to do your take-home assessment around, feel free to take a look. So unlike Facebook, I don't think they actually specifically said this interview is going to be about execution, this one's going to be about product sense and things like that. I thought all their interviews had a little bit of each. Like I remember all of them had something along the lines of asking you about something from your resume, but also touching on some sort of generic PM question, you know, one around like features that they should improve on and things like that, and getting you to think deeper there. What I did think was unique though is they seem to be a little bit more focused on past experience than I've seen with other companies. And also one of their interviews for the final round was with an engineer, which I don't think I had anywhere else. For Uber APM, I would say that as long as you do your normal interview prep, there's really no way to specifically prep for any one of the interviews themselves. Lastly, my tips that are specific to interviewing with Uber APM, I would say really brush up on your past to really figure out, because I remember all of them, I believe, looked at my resume. So make sure that you're fully aware of what's on your resume, what you want to speak about, where they could potentially ask you questions and things like that. And another thing I noted down is what I just talked about, where one of the interviews was with an engineer. So if you have past experiences of working with other engineers or working on a project as a whole team, probably something you want to keep in the back of your mind as well, because I felt that the interview with the engineer was more geared towards understanding what it would be like to work with me as a product manager, rather than, you know, my execution or my product sense skills. It was just kind of like, how would this product manager work with me as an engineer? And my last piece of advice, and I'm pretty sure I would honestly give the same advice for Facebook as well, but namely for Uber, is really just understand the space that Uber is in, understand the other competitors in the space. So of course, you know, they've got Uber Freight, they've got Uber Eats, they've probably got more Uber stuff than I'm even remembering right now, but make sure to brush up your knowledge on all those things, because it's super helpful to pull out, to not only show that you are passionate about working at Uber, but also that you have a good understanding of the market that they're in. Oh, actually, and one more piece of advice is don't take too long on the take-home assignment. I remember when I was doing this, I think it was the first few weeks of school or something like that, and I spent so much time thinking about what I should be suggesting that they do. I spent so much time on the deck. I just spent so much time worrying over this single project that I don't think ever came up again in the interview process. So the deck that I presented, I think they had one question about actually. So in one of my interviews later on, I think they briefly asked kind of what idea I came up with and why. So I guess keep in mind what you wrote up for your assessment, but don't spend too much time on it. I think time is really of the essence, especially since I think they also hire on a rolling basis. You want to get in that take-home assessment as quick as you can, because I mean, you guys heard it was literally from phone interview number 1 to on-site interview. It was a total of 8 days. So they move really quickly once the interviews start picking up. So try not to take too long on the take-home exercise. I believe they actually cap you off at a week, but if you can finish it in a shorter amount of time, definitely try to do so. I mean, honestly, these new grad PM programs, they're set up in a way to get to know you as a person and how you would grow in that career. So don't stress too much about not having prior PM experience, because it's not about that. It's a new grad program for product management. So they're really just trying to get to know you and how you think. So make sure, take your time, think it through. At the end of the day, they just want to see how you think, and they want to work with you. And that is my experience with Uber's APM program. Honestly, it was so much fun. I remember that week from phone interviews to on-site being the craziest rush, but I very much thoroughly enjoyed it. They ask really thought-provoking questions. The take-home assessment was something that is pretty rare, I would say, with other new grad programs. I can talk about some of my other experiences interviewing too that had us do little write-ups, but not full decks the way Uber wanted it. So I thought that was super interesting to see. Actually, no, I don't think you have to do a deck. I think you can also just write up a paper. I don't remember exactly, to be honest, but hopefully you guys find this helpful. I don't know how many of these kind of sit down chit chats I'll have about places that I've interviewed at. I would say Uber and Facebook were probably the ones that stood out just because they were the ones that I really saw a lot of questions about online, and I myself was also super interested in looking into when I was interviewing at these places. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully my take-home assessment, you know, feel free to take a look at it. I spent a lot of time on it, so if you guys enjoy it, let me know. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I think I'm going to try and make posting on Sundays a regular thing now. I'm trying to bring a little bit more structure into my YouTube channel because I am absolutely loving this little space and community that I'm creating with all of you guys, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos as well. So that is all for today's video. Please, oh my gosh, I just realized how dark it's getting. I'm so sorry for the lighting. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video though. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.